South Africa's inflation increased to 3.0% in December 2024 from 2.9% in November, driven mainly by housing and food costs. However, core inflation remained low at 3.6%, suggesting limited price pressures. Moreover, analysts expect the South African Reserve Bank to implement a 25 basis point rate cut at the upcoming policy meeting on January 13. Stock market analyst Mushima Garma shares insights on the latest consumer price index data.
Good news is our average inflation for 2024 was 4.4%, down from an average of 6% in 2023. Our inflation figures for 2024 have been the lowest for the past 4 years since the pandemic in 2020, where the average inflation figure was sitting at 3.3%. Now, in December, we did see a bit of an uptick in our inflation figure from a previous 2.9% in November to 3% in December, something that economists had been anticipating, mainly driven by the cost of transport and food throughout the December period. But all in all, our average inflation came out better than expected at 4.4, which is great. However, there are murmurs or speculation that our interest rate figure will gradually increase towards the fourth quarter of 2025, but it should remain below what the Reserve Bank expects or wants, which is at 4.5%. Something that we should also be excited about is that the speculation that on the 30th of January, the Reserve Bank is likely to cut interest rates by a further 25 basis points, which is a quarter percentage or 0.25%. Now, there's something that I need you to understand. Firstly, is that inflation is a very broad measure. It measures how fast prices rise and fall, which affects your purchasing power. Which you may have noticed throughout the years, it has decreased because of an increase in inflation. In other words, what you could get now for 1,000 Rand is way less than what you could get a few years ago. Secondly, is that the effects of a change in interest rates are felt a year or maybe at most 18 months after. So last year we saw a drop in inflation, and drastically so towards the end of the year. And that drop in inflation should translate to a drop in goods and services at some point in time. Because it happened towards the end of the year, it then means that we are likely to feel the effects of that towards the end of this year into 2026. And if economists are expecting a bit of a rise in inflation at the end of 2025, it means the effects of that would then be felt in 2027, just to paint the picture out for you. But in conclusion, because of the drop in inflation figures last year, end of last year, it means we're possibly going to see prices of goods and services drop towards the end of 2025. And if the Reserve Bank continues to cut interest rates, that should also then increase our purchasing power.